Hi, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we are going to make a garlic tincture. In front of me here I have garlic. It's a lot of garlic. We're not going to use all of this for the tincture, but it's what I was working on earlier today. It took about 3 hours for me to take the papers off of somewhere between 30 and 40 heads of music garlic. That's what this is. They're pretty large cloves. I know there's like tons of like brilliant ways to get the papers off. You can blanch them, you can put them in a jar and shake them. That does not work for these, by the way. The whole putting in a jar and shaking them doesn't work. I find what works easiest to get the papers off of these large cloves is to just cut the tops off and then they peel right off. But because I did so many, it took a really long time. And the reason I have so much is my harvest. It is late January here right now, and the garlic that I harvested last, summer is about done. So I want to preserve the harvest, and I'm going to make a tincture out of some, and then I'm going to pickle some of these cloves later. So I took the papers off of all of these today. And what we need to do now to make the tincture is make sure you have these ingredients: 100 proof vodka and garlic, a jar of some kind. I have already put a label on it. Tells me what's in the jar, which is raw organic garlic and 100 proof vodka, and the date that I'm making this, which is today. I'm going to go ahead and wash these, a few of these, and I'll come back, but make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video where I'm going to tell you what this is good for and how much to take of it. But I figured right here in the beginning, let's just show you how to make it in case that's all you need to know. Be right back. Once your garlic is clean, you're going to want to chop them finely. You can use a knife, you can use a grater, you can use a food processor, whatever works best for you and is convenient and easy for you in your kitchen. You're going to want to remove any blemishes, and since these, they're not exactly old, right? They're amazing little garlics, but they have some little sprouts that want to start. So I'll show you what that looks like this. If you can see it, I don't even really know if you can see that, but I'm gonna cut these out. This garlic is perfectly safe to use for a tincture. It's perfectly safe to use in canning, and I'm just gonna cut it up. And since I'm using, this is a quart jar here, I'm just gonna cut it up myself instead of using my food processor. But you do want to cut it. You don't want to put them in whole like you would if you were pickling them or fermenting them. You want them to have their surface area exposed. So you're going to want to cut them. And then you're going to want to fill your mason jar, whatever size you want to use. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this big, or it could be like a half gallon or a gallon. Just, how much tincture are you going to use? Totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and chop up these clean ones, get this half full, and then I'll be right back. We have our chopped garlic, about halfway full. And we're just going to cover it with 100 proof vodka all the way to the tippy top. And you do want to go all the way to the top. Prevents extra air from getting in here and ensures that the garlic is completely covered at all times. And then you'll give it a good shake. Once you have this part done, you're going to put this in a pantry somewhere out of the light. Cool place if you have one. Doesn't have to be the fridge or anything. If you think of it, try to give it a shake like every time you walk by, every day, once a week. And then you're going to want to let this sit for 6 to 8 weeks. I usually do my tinctures for 6 weeks, but 8 weeks won't hurt. And if you happen to leave it in the back of your pantry didn't shake it, didn't touch it, forgot all about it 2 years from now, don't even worry about it. It's still going to be good. The alcohol is the preservative for your tincture. But I try to keep a closer eye on mine, and I put a note on my calendar to make sure that I strain this. When I strain it, I like to use jelly bags, and I have a couple of other videos that kind of show me doing that. I use a jelly bag. It's basically like cheesecloth on steroids, and strain it through there and put it right into an amber colored jar. Now that we have our garlic tincture made, I'm just going to go over a couple of things that it's good for and how much to take. Garlic tincture is really good for your cardiovascular health, and you can take this as a preventative, not only for your heart health and your cardiovascular health, but you could also take it as a preventative for colon cancer and rectal cancer. This tincture can be used for high blood pressure. There have been studies that show that the garlic tincture is also used as a treatment for things like prostate cancer and bladder cancer. Now I'm just going to insert in here, like right now, that I'm not a doctor. I'm definitely not your doctor. So consult with your physician or your naturopath if you decide you want to take this for something highly serious like cancer, right? So another fun fact about a garlic tincture is that it's anti-parasitic. And you know, I think we hear, a lot of us hear that there's just no parasites in America. Well, you know, there are. And this is a good thing to take, among other things, right? I wouldn't just be like, oh, you have a parasite, only use a garlic tincture. No, you're gonna wanna do some other things. And if you have any questions about parasite cleanses, you can ask me down in the comments, and I can tell you what I know. Garlic tincture is also an insect repellent, particularly mosquitoes. People who use this regularly or eat garlic regularly report that the mosquitoes just don't like them anymore. And I think we all want to know, am I gonna stink? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I like to use my insect repellent. There's several different herbs that are amazing insect repellents. Lemon balm is one of them. And yeah, you kind of smell like those things, especially if you're like spraying it on your body. But do you want to get eaten by a mosquito, or do you want to smell a little, I don't know, funky fruity? I don't know. Totally up to you, but garlic does work as an insect repellent, both if you use it internally and externally. So if you want to avoid things like ticks and mosquitoes, but you don't want to spray it on your body, then you have to take it internally kind of, every day. And, builds up in your system. And I mean, I'm just not going to say you're not going to sweat and smell like garlic. I'm just not going to tell you that, because you might. Garlic tincture is also really good for viruses, cold, flu, things of that nature. You can take it as a preventative. So, if hey, I'm about to go to my, kids' ballet recital, or gonna go to church, or, whatever, there's gonna be a lot of people there that might be sniffling and snuffling all over you. Take this a few days ahead of time, boost the immune system. Now, I know we're talking about a tincture today, but I also want you to know that garlic works really well for fungal issues. It works amazing for ringworm, jock itch, athlete's foot, and you might not want to spray a tincture in some of your sensitive areas, so you can make a salve out of garlic if you want to use it in some of your more sensitive areas. I don't have a video on that right now, maybe someday in the future. But since I'm talking about it, I just thought you might want to know. It's a great antifungal, works great for those things. I really don't recommend that you spray a tincture on a regular basis on either your feet or your jock area, because alcohol can over time dry out and thin the skin, similar to the way steroids do. So I really do suggest that if you're struggling with that, that you take some dried garlic and turn it into a salve. And I mean, you can look at my other videos. I do talk about how to make one. You just make it, you know, with some oil of your choice and infuse that. Instead of using alcohol, you'll want to use avocado oil, for example. And always, always, for an oil infusion, you're going to want to use a dried herb. Last but not least, let's talk about dosage. Most of my tinctures, your dosages, you know, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you're like, oh, they're all the same. No, they're not all the same. With a garlic tincture, you're only going to want to take 4 to 5 drops a day, maximum twice a day. You're going to want to take it with water, probably going to want to take it with food. If you take too much, if you ingest too much garlic in general, which is kind of hard to do if you're just like popping garlic cloves, but this is highly concentrated. If you take too much, it can cause extra sweating, and it can be, you know, it can be quite uncomfortable. So I do recommend that you take your 4 to 5 drops once, maximum twice a day with a glass of water. You can actually just put the tincture right into the glass of water. If you put it under your tongue, like some of the other tinctures, I mean, it can kind of burn. Like if you use a raw garlic like right on your skin, you can get rid of a wart because it does kind of burn the skin and causes some skin sloughing. So this is a hot herb, just be aware of that. So the alcohol itself is kind of burny, plus also the herb is burny. So put it in some water, drink that down, follow it by a second glass of water, just so that you stay hydrated. Please do not use this if you are on blood thinners. This herb, especially if you're using it quite regularly, can thin your blood. So if you're on a prescription medication for blood thinners, please don't use this tincture. Okay, I said that that was last but not least, but I lied because this is super important and this is really exciting. So if you are like me and you have livestock or poultry and they're having some respiratory problems, right? We know the bee flu is going around, right? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you notice that your livestock or your poultry is, you know, got a little runny nose or a cough, please treat your entire herd or flock. You can treat them for respiratory symptoms using the garlic tincture. You'll want to use 1 ounce of the tincture per 1 gallon of water. Don't just treat one animal, treat your whole situation, right? In case there's a little something going around. This has been proven on, like, I mean, you could DuckDuckGo this or Google it or whatever. It's very highly effective. It's scientifically proven that the garlic tincture works for respiratory problems in your livestock and your poultry. All right, folks, like that's it for today. I have other things to do. I got this like whole pile of garlic here that I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with. I do want to preserve the harvest and don't want it to go to waste. So I'm out, and I appreciate every single one of you. If you have any questions, things you want to add, obviously garlic has way more health benefits than even what I mentioned today. So feel free to pop those down in the comments for anybody reading them. If you're like me, you read the comments while you're, you know, watching the video, so you want to hear what other people have to say about it. And I'm not, like, I don't know everything, not even close. So add to my video down in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna see you next time, okay? Bye.